Hello everyone and welcome to Raj tutorial. Our today's class is from your supplementary book of class 10th, The Making of a Scientist by Robert W. Peterson. Children, before we jump into the story, let us know about the chapter sketch. The story The Making of a Scientist is written by Robert W. Peterson. It is about the great scientist Richard E. Bright. Okay, Richard H. E. Bright. He had a habit of collecting butterflies, fossils, and coins since he was a kid. So he started scientific research on the study of butterfly. So his curiosity and a will to win for the right reason made him successful. So in this story he is a brilliant scientist and he is noted for his work on cell and reading on DNA. So let us begin. Richard E. Bright has received the Cyril Scholar Award and the Staring Plough Award for Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. It was his fascination for butterflies that opened the world of science to him. Here are few questions. We will know these questions only when we will read the story. At the age of 22, a former Scout of the Year excited the scientific world with a new theory on how cell works. Richard H. Bright and his college roommate explained the theory in an article in the Proceedings of the National Academy of English. So, the article of Richard and his friend was published in the scientific journal. What was the name of the journal? That was Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. It is the name of the newspaper, scientific newspaper. Got it? So in this newspaper, the article of Richard and his friend was published. He was only of 22 at that time. Okay? So it was the first time this important scientific journal had ever published the work of college student. So it was the first time that the research work of college student was published. Okay, and it was a rare honor for Richard. In sports, that would be like making the big leagues at the age of 15 and hitting a home run your first time at bat. For Richard A. Bright, it was the first in a long string of achievements in science and other fields. And it all started with butterflies. So, children, it was like making home run. Okay, your first time at bat. So, at the age of 15, he had achieved such a big success. So, it is like scoring a home run at the age of 15. That is also a big achievement. And for Richard, it was a first long string. In a long string of achievement, it was his first achievement. Okay, he had made many achievements in science and other fields, and that was his first achievement. And it all started with butterflies. So all these achievements started when he started researching on butterflies. An only child, Bright grew up north of Reading, Pennsylvania, where there wasn't much I could do there. He said, I certainly couldn't play football or baseball with a team of one, but there was one thing I could do, collect things. So he grew up in the north of Reading. It is a name of a place. It is in Pennsylvania. So there he found that people were very fond of playing football and baseball, but he had no interest. He had more interest in collecting things. So he started building his habit or hobby in collecting things. So he did. And did he ever? Beginning in kindergarten, Bright collected butterflies with the same determination that has marked all his activities. So when he was in kindergarten, from his early childhood onwards, he started collecting things and collecting butterflies. Okay, so sorry. He also collected rocks, fossils, and coins. He became an eager astronomer too, sometimes stargazing all night. So he was very fond of gazing at the stars. So he was an astronomer also. So he did, and next page. From the first, he had a driving curiosity along with a bright mind. He also had a mother who encouraged his interest in learning. She took him on trips, bought him telescopes, microscopes, cameras, mounting materials, and other equipment, and helped him in many other ways. So, her mother was his favorite companion. Okay, she was constantly with him. She encouraged him by making him on trips and bought him telescope and other equipments. She found work to challenge him, okay, and help him a lot to learn new things in his life. I was his only companion until he started school, his mother said. After that, I would bring home friends for him, but at night we just did things together. Richie was my whole life after his father died when Richie was in third grade. So his father died when he was in third grade, and now they were both close companions. They are life for each other. She and her she and her son spent almost every evening at the dining room table. If he did not have anything to do, he found work for him. Not physical work, but learning things. His mother said, he liked it. He wanted to learn. So his mother also always found new works for his son. That was mental work, so that he could think, ponder, and learn new things. And learn sorry and learn he did. He earned up top grades in school on everyday things. He was just like every other kid, his mother said. So he was a topper in his class. He was, though otherwise he was a normal child and any other child, but at learning he was a topper. By the time he was in the second grade, Ebright had collected all 25 species of butterflies found around his hometown. See what a big achievement. When he was in second class, he had collected 25 species of butterflies. So you can see the table, white am here streak. This is species and subspecies of butterflies collected 6 weeks in reading. And see children, if I will not read each and everything for you. These are the names of the species given in the table. So you have to take pain and read the names of the species. What all things were found by Richard at his early age. That probably would have been the end of my butterfly collecting, he said. But then my mother got me a children's book called The Travel of Monarch X. That book, which told how monarch butterflies migrate to Central America, opened the world of science to the eager young collector. So, after collecting 25 species of butterfly, Richard thought that is the end of collecting butterflies. He thought there would be no more species. But then his mother brought a book. The book name was The Travel of Monarch X. Now, Monarch X is the name of the butterfly. Now, after reading the book, Richard came to know that monarch butterflies, they migrate to Central America. Okay, so after reading it, he came to know that there was a new world of science. Okay, for that eager young collector. At the end of book, readers were invited to help study butterfly migration. They were asked to tag butterflies for research by Dr. Frederick A. Urquhart of the University of Toronto, Canada. So at the end of that book, uh, all the readers were invited by Dr. Urquhart. What he invited him? He invited them uh, that he realized that he needed to carry out a real experiment, so that he would watch all the stages of the development of butterfly and would tag their wings and free them. Okay, so this work was given by uh, Urquhart. Okay, so he invited that the children should study about the butterfly migrations and they should tag the butterfly wings okay, so that they could know more and more about the butterflies. Got it? And soon Ebright was attaching light adhesive tags to the wings of monarch. Anyone who found a tagged butterfly was asked to send the tag to Urquhart. So, what Richard started doing? He started tagging the wings of the butterflies. Okay, then and free them. Afterwards, he freed them. He did it for many years. Okay, and raised thousands of butterfly. And this and whoever used to get that tagged butterfly was asked to send those butterflies to Dr. Urquhart. The butterfly collecting season around reading lasts 6 months in late summer. Okay, so this season collecting butterfly collecting season started last 6 months in late summer. Okay, so it remained only for 6 months in the late summer. So here is a graph given here. Number and kinds of butterflies collected in 6 weeks. Snout. See here. These are the names of the butterflies. So number collected. You can see snout 1 to 0 was collected. Monarch 1 was collected. White sulfurs. Here 3 butterflies were collected. 3 kind and this is the way has been shown. The butterfly collecting season around reading lasts 6 weeks in late summer. If you are going to chase them one by one, you won't catch very many. So the next step for Ebright was to raise a flock of butterflies. He would catch a female monarch, take her eggs, raise them in his basement through their life cycle from egg to caterpillar to pupa and to adult butterfly. So he started raising butterflies at his home, okay, to study their migration pattern. Got it, children? So he would catch a female monarch and take her eggs. He would watch all the stages of development of the butterfly. Then he would tag the wings and free them. And this he did for many years, okay, and he raised thousands of butterflies in his basement of the house. So, for several years, his basement was a home to thousands of monarchs and in different stages of development. Eventually, I began to lose interest in tagging butterflies. It is tedious. Tedious means it was tiresome and boring also, and monotonous, you can say. And there is not much feedback, so there was no more feedback. He was tired of doing all those things, so he thought of doing something new. Ebright said, in all the time I did it, he laughed, only 2 butterflies I had tagged were recaptured. So only 2 tagged butterflies were recaptured by some people, and they were not more than 75 miles from where I lived. So he had no knowledge what was done with the tagged butterfly because they were quite far from his house. Then in the 7th grade, he got a hint that of what real science is when he entered a county science fair. So he came about the real science, okay, when he visited a science fair, you can say, book fair, you can say. Got it, children? So here and lost. It was really a sad feeling to sit there and not get anything while everybody else had won something. Ebright said his entry was slides of frogs' tissues which he showed under the microscope. He realized the winners had tried to do real experiments, not simply make the neat display. So when he was in 7th grade, he got the hint how the real science is, okay, when he entered into the science fair, okay, and there he found that first he came across the slides of the frog tissues which he himself showed all those slides. He participated in the science fair and he showed those slides under the microscope, and then he realized that the winners had tried the real experiments, not only displaying the slides, okay. So his participation in the science fair was showing the slides of the frog tissues, but he realized that if he really want to win the award, he has to work something more. Already the competitive spirit that drives Richard Ebright was appearing. So there was competitive spirit in him that was looking, which could be seen now. I knew that for the first year's fair, I would have to do a real experiment, he said. The subject I knew most about was the insect work I had been doing in the past several years, and that was about butterflies. So he could do real work only on the butterflies because he had been working on it since his childhood. So he wrote to Dr. Urquhart for ideas, and back came a stack of suggestions and for experiment. So Dr. Urquhart gave him lot of suggestions for experiment. Those kept Albright busy all through high school and led to prize projects in county and international science fair, and he kept on working on it, and this is way how he won the prizes at the county and international science fairs in the following years, children. So his 8th grade project, Ebright tried to find the cause of the viral disease that kills nearly all monarch caterpillars every few years. So in his 8th grade, he started researching about the virus who was the cause of killing many monarch caterpillars. Ebright thought the disease might be carried by a beetle. He tried to raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles. He thought that the virus was communicated through beetles. Therefore, he started raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles. I didn't get any real result, he said, but I went ahead and showed that it had tried the I had tried the experiment. This time I won. Though he was not successful to prove that the beetles were the main cause of virus in monarchs, but he tried his best, and he proved in the fair in another exhibition that he had worked on that theory, and this way he won the prize for that. The next year, in 8th grade, in 8th class, the next year his science fair project was testing the theory that viceroy butterfly copy monarch. So now in 8th grade, next year he was working on the project that there was another butterfly that was viceroy butterfly, and they copy monarch butterfly. He was going to work on it. The theory was about the viceroys look like monarchs. So viceroy, they look like monarchs because monarchs don't taste good to birds, and see, monarchs are not tasty for the birds to eat. Viceroys, on the other hand, do taste good to birds, whereas viceroys are very tasty to eat for the birds. So the more they look like monarchs, the less likely they are to become the bird's dinner. Therefore, they copy these viceroy, they copy monarchs in order to escape from the birds. So in when they copy monarchs, they can easily escape from the birds, okay, as they are very tasty to eat. Therefore birds are very fond of viceroys. A bright project was to see whether in fact birds would eat monarchs. He found that a starling would not eat ordinary bird food. He it would eat all the monarchs it could get. A bright said later research by other people showed that Viceroy probably do copy the monarch. This project was placed first in the zoology division and the third overall in the county fair science fair. Okay, so Richard experiment on viceroy butterfly. He tried to prove that viceroy copy monarchs. Viceroy do it to protect themselves from the birds, as birds don't eat monarchs. And the project won the first prize in the zoology division and overall third prize in the county fair science fair. Okay, so here I end my first part, as we have many more, two more pages. Okay, let us continue, then no matters. In his second year in high school, Richard A. Bright began the research that led to his discovery of an unknown insect hormone. Indirectly, it also led to this new theory of on the life of the cells. So, in the second year, okay, when he was in 12th, you can say he started working. He started discovering on hormones. Okay, so he was sorry, where I have lost my line. First line, sorry. He began the research that led to the discovery of unknown insect hormone. Okay, so and that also led to the new theory of the life of cells. So this in when he started working on hormone, this theory led him towards the life of cells. The question he tried to answer was simple: what is the purpose of the 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch's pupa? So he wanted to solve the question that what was the purpose of 12 tiny spots on the gold spots on monarch's pupa. So monarch's pupa had 12 tiny gold spots. He wanted to find the purpose behind those tiny gold spots. Everyone assumed the spots were just ornamental, Ebright said, but Dr. Urquhart didn't believe it. So Ebright told that people believed that it was only for the beauty, those spots, but Dr. Urquhart didn't believe that. To find the answer, Ebright and another excellent science student first had to build a device that showed that the spots were producing a hormone necessary for the butterfly's full development. So, to find the answer, uh, Ebright and other excellent science scientists, they built a device which showed that those spots release some hormones which help the full development in the of the butterfly. This project won a bright first place in the county fair and entry into the International Science Engineering Fair. Okay, and so he won the first prize. Okay, at the World Science Fair, and he also got chance to enter into the International Science Engineering Fair because he proved the theory that gold spots produce hormone. Okay, so there he won third prize for zoology, and in International Science Engineering Fair he won third prize. What is zoology? Study of animals. He also got chance to work during the summer at the entomology laboratory of the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. So he got golden chance to work in this institute. As a high school junior, Richard Ebright continued his advanced experiment on monarch pupa. So when he was in 10th, he continued his experiment on monarch pupa. That year, his project won first place at the International Science Fair and gave him another chance to work in the army laboratory during the summer. So, this way, he got second chance to work in that institute. In the senior year, he went. Let go and bring. In the senior year, he went a step further. He grew cells from a monarch's wings in the cultural and showed that cells would divide and develop into normal butterfly wing scales only if they were fed the hormone from the gold spots. So in that experiment, he proved that butterflies they get cells, okay, from the gold spots which help them to grow. That project won first prize of zoology at International Fair. He spent the summer after graduation doing further work at the Army Laboratory and at the laboratory of the US Department of Agriculture. At such a small age, he got many golden opportunities to work in international institutes. Okay. The following summer, after his freshman year at Harvard University, Ebright went back to laboratory of the Department of Agriculture and did more work on the hormone of the gold spots. Using laboratory sophisticated means refined, very nice instruments, he was able to identify the hormone chemical structure. So in this way, he was able to read the chemical structure of the hormones. Okay, with his advanced and sophisticated instruments in that laboratory. A year and a half later, during his junior year, Ebright got the idea for his new theory about cell life. It came while he was looking at X-ray photos of the chemical structure of the hormone. When he was looking at the X-ray photo of the chemical structure of hormone, he came to know a new theory about the cell life. So when he was looking into the X-ray photo of hormone, he discovered a new theory that was a cell life. Indirectly he had worked on the cell life. So when he saw those photos, Ebright didn't shout, Eureka! Or even, I have got it. He didn't show his excitement, but he believed that along with his finding about insect hormone, the photos gave him the answer to one of the biology puzzles. So he examined that with the help of reading. When he was reading the photos of hormones, he have made another discovery, another invention, that was he had solved the biology puzzle, how the cell can read the blueprint of its DNA. So that was a puzzle, that how cell can read the blueprint of DNA. You all study bio and you know what is DNA. DNA is a substance in a nucleus of a cell that control the heredity. It determines the form and function of the cell. Thus, DNA is the blueprint of life. So, DNA helps you to learn about the heredity. You are from which family? Okay. So, and DNA helps you to helps in the function of the cell, because he was working on hormones. He discovered about cell, he discovered about DNA, he discovered about heredity. All these things were the great achievements for Ebright. Now, last page. Ebright and his college roommate James R. Wong worked all that night drawing pictures and constructing plastic models of molecules to show how it could happen. Together, they later wrote the paper that explained the theory. So, Richard Ebright and his friends, they made models and they wrote theory on the paper to explain to the people. Surprising no one who knew him, Richard Ebright graduated from Harvard with highest honors, second in his class with 1510. So that that was the strength of his class at university. So he got the second position. He became graduate student researcher. Okay. So sorry, where I was. Huh. There he began doing experiments to test his theory. If the theory proves correct, what was the theory? Albright went on to become a graduate student researcher at Harvard Medical School, and there he carried on his experiment on the theory. If the theory proves correct, it will be a big step towards understanding the process of life. So he was going to work more on the cell, so that would solve the mystery on the processes of life. It might also lead a new idea for preventing some types of cancer and other diseases. All of this is possible because of a bright scientific curiosity. His high school research into the purpose of the spots of monarch pupa eventually led him to his theory about the cell life. When he was in 10th, his curiosity to know about the gold spots on the monarch pupa eventually made him a successful person to work on the theory about cell life, and he discovered many things. Richard Ebright has been interested in science since he first began collecting butterflies, but now so deeply that he hasn't time for other interests. Albright also became a champion debater and public speaker and good canoeist and all-round outdoor person. So he was very active at outdoor activities. He is also an expert photographer, particularly of nature and scientific exhibit. So he is not only scientist, he is a photographer, he is a debater, he is a good speaker, and he is a good canoeist. Okay, so all these things made him a very popular. In high school, Richard Ebright was a straight A student. So straight A means he was number one student, topper student, because learning was easy. He turned a lot of his energy towards debating and model United Nation clubs. So he spent lot of his energy at debating and model United Nation clubs. He participated in that club. He also found someone to admire, Richard A. Wherer, his social studies teacher and advisor of both clubs. Mr. Weller was the perfect person for me. Then he opened my mind to new ideas, Ebright said. So he got a new companion, Mr. Weller. He was his teacher, okay, social studies teacher. He was the one who understood Richard Ebright. He used to admire him, give him suggestions, give him new ideas. Richard would always give the extra effort, Mr. Vera said. What pleased me was here was the person who put in 3 or 4 hours at night doing debate research beside doing all the research with butterfly and his other interests. So other than researching on butterfly, he used to spend 3 to 4 hours on debates. Okay. Richard was competitive, Mr. Whaler continued, but not in a bad sense. So, being competitive is not a bad thing. So, he was a competitive in a good sense. He was not jealous of others. He was only curious to learn new things. He explained Richard wasn't interested in winning for winning's sake or for winning to get the prize. Rather, he was winning because he wanted to do the best job he could for the right reason. He wanted to be the best. So Richard did not want to be the first only for the sake of winning prize, but it was for doing the best. And that is one of the ingredients in the making of sciences. What are the ingredients needed for making in the scientist? That is determination, that is ambitious, that is hard work, that is curiosity, and curiosity of learning more and more things, and one more is being competitive. These are the ingredients that are needed for making of a scientist. Okay, start with the first rate mind, add curiosity, mix in the will to win for the first reason. Ebright has these qualities from the time the book The Travel of Monarch X opened the world of science to him. Richard Ebright has never lost his scientific curiosity. So the science world was open to him when he read The Travel of Monarch X. Okay, and from there his scientific curiosity had no end. Okay, so this is written by Robert W. Peterson. So this is a mystery, this is a story of a successful scientist, and if you want to become a scientist, you also need determination, hard work, curiosity, ambitious, competitive, and willpower. So no one can stop you to become famous and a successful person in your life. So here I end my explanation. Hope you enjoyed it. Meet you in the next video. Do not forget to press the like button. Till then, bye bye.